Okay, part 2. All right, let me show you what I did. I went through each one and sewed the pages together. Now, in the midst of my sewing, I had an idea that hit me because all the pockets are facing like the same way. So some of them maybe will fold this way. So the pocket is a little bit different on the other side. See what I mean? Not all of them. You know, let's skip a few here. This one, we can do like this, right? I'm not gonna lie, the sewing part of this was pretty relaxing. You know, it was nice to just go around the pages, and plus it's good practice. You know, I'm not very good at sewing in a straight line, and look, I did okay. I did pretty okay being all straight liney and whatnot. So you are gonna see some never before caught on film of Malia doing a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I know, your mind is blown away that I'm going to do this on camera. Mine is too. My problem with this is not the stitching itself. It's the pamphlet stitch is easy. So if you're new at junk journal stuff and you're new at book binding and you're like, oh my God, you know, she doesn't like to do the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It has nothing to do with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It has everything to do with the papers that I choose to use, okay, for these projects. Okay. So it has nothing at all to do with the sewing. It's that I use papers that are so complicated to sew together, you know, that it ends up becoming a big, huge thing. And it turns into a real mess because I get so aggravated. But we're going to do some sewing. Need some chapstick for the occasion. Because, you know, in the spring and in the fall, my lips get so chapped. And I know that's, you know, pretty common, but I just thought I would say that. Just thought I would throw that out there. In case you're battling chapped lips and you don't understand why. It's the weather, man. It is the weather. So we're going to do 2 things, okay? First, we're going to try and open this thing up. And I got to keep checking my phone because I'm expecting calls and messages from people that, you know, that need me. And I got to watch the time because of my girls. Now, in a perfect world, you're going to line this up. You're going to measure it like a good little doobie, okay? Me, I'm not good. We are going to just poke it on. We are going to just eyeball it and wing it. Okay. Which maybe is one of my other problems, is that I'm always winging things. You know, maybe I'm too much of a winger. Maybe I should be planning. But the problem is, like, even when I plan, make sure you don't poke yourself, by the way. Okay. Make sure you know where your hands are at all times. I do okay winging. And when I measure and line things up, it tends to be more of a mess. Now, one thing I like to do on little journals that I'm just like fancying up is I like to add beads to my binding. I bought myself on Amazon this beading needle kit. So I will link this below, okay? And it comes with a lot of needles. It comes with just everything in here. I don't think I added anything. If I did, I might have just added some extra needles in here that I you know, have had. But, yeah. I will link this below because this kit is really cool if you are looking for some beading needles like myself and you have 0 luck finding any. Now, this is a regular needle, but I gotta see if the beads I want are gonna fit. Yeah, this is a regular. So I did stick a few needles in. But those are really handy, like really nice to have. So I grabbed 2 different threads. This one is not waxed, and this one is a waxed thread. I chose the not waxed one because it's got the greens in it, so I might use that for we might try it on some of the green the greenies. I don't know yet. So what I do is, I start from the outside. It doesn't matter. It depends on where you want your strings to end. So I usually have them end on the inside, the strings. Okay. You want to make sure you get yourself enough thread to get the binding done, because as you go, the thread is going to get tighter and tighter. Okay. And then we're going to just bead this down the needle. And I will do this, and I'm not going to torture you all with watching me string beads. See, because I'm stringing them all by hand instead of just scooping them up, because I'm trying to be kind of methodical about color placement of the beads. So I will return. Okay, so I got my first little part done here, and I ended up switching to a traditional beading needle, which is just this long stick that has a long hole in it, and it's really thin, so it'll go through any needle, any bead. The only thing you'd have to worry about is getting your beads through your thread. So now I'm going to switch back to my traditional needle to sew in and out of these holes with, because while the beading needle is good for beading, it is not good for sewing. Somebody else might have better luck than I do, but I do not have luck with using beading needles for other things. But I'm going to tell you what, when you have beading needles and you start to do beading projects, game changer. Okay. So poke it through. Okay. And then what I do, which isn't, not everybody does it this way, but I go all the way down to here. Some people go into the middle and then back out and then up, and then I don't do that. I go down here. Okay. So that the inside of the book has got a clean line. That's what I like. I like a clean line. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to bead this part of the spininess. And I will come back when I am done with that. All right, I finished that part. Now, find my other needle again. My thread is all chewed up because of all the things I'm putting it through. And stick it through here. Now, some people do go through it twice. I don't. I do if it's, you know, a heavier book, but this is just a small single signature journal, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. And then you try not to put your needle up through the thread that's already sticking out of that hole like I just did. And you pull that right up nice and tight. Nice and tight. Okay, and I am going to shorten this string a little bit because that is very long. Okay, very long. But I do want it to hang down a little bit, not like 40 feet though. Okay, so just tightening it up. And pull these tight, tight. And tie them tight, tight, right? Okay. Get my scissors. Now, you know, the symmetrical part of my brain wants to make these the same length, but the beady part of my brain says they look better when they're two different lengths. Oh, look, I have one that ended up being a little... I could edit this out, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take you along for the screw-ups. So, this one was loose. Let's see. Much better. Much better. Okay. Then I got myself, put my needle back over here, take a sip of my water. I got myself a handful of beads to put at the ends of my strings. They're larger. They're a little bit larger beads. And they don't want to go through the friggin' hole, so I'm going to need my beading needle. If you can pick it up. These beading needles really are a godsend, though, when you are trying to do a project, you know. So I'm going to do a blue and a brown one, because my colors are blue and brown. So I'm going to do that on this string. Okay. Now, sometimes the holes on the beads are kind of big, so my knots don't, the bead will go right through the knot. Okay, so let's see. Let's see how this one does. You got to kind of yank it, but I'm going to, so what I'll do is I will just double up this knot, okay, which can be kind of complicated. Not going to lie. You got to kind of line it up just right so that it's a big old knot. Okay, that ain't going nowhere. So there's the one, and I just trim this off. One, and this one we will do I like this blue circle. This should go through this one. Okay, I was just saying. Come on. It's because I have the end of my thread a little frayed. Let's cut the end. And a star. Right? Would the star be best? I think so. Okay, and I don't think I'll need the double knotting. I think the star's holes are pretty small. Not go through it. So there we go. This one is bound. Why? So this one is bound, and I like the little beads hanging out the bottom. I'm going to go through and do the rest of them, and the only reason why I'm not going to do them on camera is because I have my bucket of beads here, but I'm going to need to go search for beads. So I'm going to have to keep pausing and starting and pausing and starting. So these are like beads that that are unorganized from different projects that I try and use up first. So I'll be back after I have, after I've bound them all. All right, y'all. I got all my spines beaded. Some of them are a little looser than others, but it still does the same job. Beads. So I will have these available at my live sale tomorrow. If you are so interested in purchasing one. I was going to do some more little embellishing, but I wanted to keep the price down to sell them, so I decided to leave them blank inside. And then whoever gets it can embellish it however they want. So this is them. Make sure you're at my live tomorrow at 4 if you want to snag one of these puppies. I will be making more of them, but they will look different. They are not going to be the same prints. So yeah, this is just another way to use up pages, to use up, you know, magazine pages, book pages, whatever you want, you can use to create a small, soft cover, journal cover. So thanks for sticking around and tolerating all my crap. I love you all. Ta-ta for now.